What's up? Nothing much. I'm here to talk about how I feel like maybe without realizing it, I've been like consuming right leaning media and it's been influencing me. And I'm like, wait, like, not just recently, like, recently I've definitely been, well, I don't know, like, I used to consume a lot of right leaning, like, misogynistic, transphobic media because that's the people that I was hanging around kind of thing, and that was what they were sending me to watch kind of thing. And so that was definitely what I was watching. Like, I used to be a big fan of Observe, that like body language reading thing, and I didn't realize, oh, he's an abuser. Oh, he actually intentionally analyzes women's body language like unjustly in comparison to men's, to say that, oh, women are always saying something completely different with their body language than what they're actually saying with their mouths, and that's the thing that you should be believing. That's the thing that you should. Sorry about my voice, by the way. I'm kind of under the weather, but it's just like kind of wild. Like, I used to follow that. I used to love that channel, you know? It's the same, like, I used to watch, like, Isaac Butterfield a lot. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm like, actually, he triggers me. I can't with Isaac Butterfield. I can't even, like, begin because there's just so much history around, and I genuinely can't actually think about his face without, like, wanting to shut down and go into, like, a coma for the rest of my life. So let's just leave that to the side. And then I've been recommended the YouTuber Friendly Geordies. He's like a like Australian political commentator kind of guy. And just like a couple of the, like, he's kind of framed as this center left kind of like Australian YouTuber. He loves Labor basically, hates the Greens. Haven't heard him say much on Liberals, but like, I haven't seen much of his stuff. He says that he's not interested in ideologies or whatever. I don't know. I don't quote me. Okay, disclaimer: don't quote me on fucking anything. I'm spitballing right now. As you can tell, I'm not like trying to frame myself as some sort of journalist. I don't have any, credentials behind me whatsoever. Literally zero. And you should. I hope that you are aware of that now. Thank you. Because I know it's hard on YouTube to know, like, who knows what they're talking about, who doesn't know what they're talking about. I'm just spitballing because I'm worried that, oh shit, have I been, like, am I at the beginning of what would be, like, a pipeline to alt-right beliefs? Because I just watched a video called The Alt-Right Pipeline for Women, and I'm like, that looks interesting. And then I'm like, because they just talked about, like, three main things, and I'm like, oh my god. Wait, fuck, me? Oh shit. Like, one of them, you know that YouTuber, that, like, OF girl who bonked 100 men in one day kind of thing? I, have opinions about the porn industry, right? And sex work and stuff. And my opinions are against the industry, not against the women who participate, because I completely understand that, but against the industry, right? And I think, like, I don't want to get fully into it, but I've never sort of agreed, I guess, with it as a whole, because I don't think it's good for society, where we live in a world where women have to, like, appeal to men in that way online and exploit themselves, and that they get exploited by people in the industry in order to make money, and for that to be like a last resort. Like, I just don't think that is a good thing for society. And someone who gets into it really, really well is Kate. Let me just like pull up her YouTube channel because I actually don't know. It's like Cataclysm. Oh, I'm actually, wait, let me pull up her YouTube channel. This chick here, she gets into it. Wait, I don't know if you can see, but she's really good, I think. Like, I don't know, I tend to like the stuff that she talks about and the rants she goes on, and I think she's really real and really gets into stuff really well. And she's like very anti-misogynistic, but she's like you can still critique the industry and not be a misogynist kind of thing. And I think I think her voice in the commentary sphere of YouTube, I think it's very important. Like, just in my opinion, I think she's actually very outspoken, and I think she's really touching on some really important topics. And I'm not trying to praise her as some, like, you know, she's right about everything and she's like because I think it's really dangerous to do that with people, to like pick one person and just think, okay, everything they say is correct now. That sort of like virtue ethics, I think that's what it is I think virtue ethics is when you it's when you look to a virtuous figure or person and base your ethics based on theirs, sort of thing. It's more of a theory that focuses, okay, I'm actually need to like boycott AI overview. Anyone else feel like they need to boycott AI overview? Because it's actually just like doesn't spread the correct information a lot of the time, and I'm like kind of annoyed by that. It's actually kind of annoying. It's the first thing that pops up. Like, it stops my actual critical thinking to look at the sources that I'm reading. Like, oh, is this Wikipedia? Is this BBC? Is this like Britannica? Like, what source am I looking at, instead of just looking at it face value? And I know it links where it got its information from, but remember, it's an AI. It doesn't actually know what the words mean. It just is reading the words that it's saying and then telling you what it thinks you want to hear because of that, because of other stuff that it's interpreted, or like words that it's associated together with other words. Like, that's literally all the AI is. Sorry, I also just watched a video with it's like about like can ChatGPT do philosophy kind of thing. It's a really interesting video, and it talks about like the nature of thinking and how like whether you agree with the statement depends on how you think about philosophy. Anyway, fuck, what was I saying? Oh yeah, virtue ethics. Okay, an action is only right if it is an action that a virtuous person would carry out in the same circumstances. So a good example of this is Jesus. And clearly on here I'm not like clearly I'm very agnostic, and that's very, very evident by this channel. I feel like that's kind of evident, is my agnosticism. Thank you. Oh god, what the fuck was the virtue ethics about? And so yeah, I'm not trying to say that she's like some like, is magnum opus the wrong word? I think it is. I'm not trying to say she's right about everything, but I think that her voice is really important. But she has spoken out about that girl Bonnie. Oh my god, what's her name? Bonnie. Where is she? Well, anyway, she made a really good video called Porn is Ruining Society, and I think that you need to watch. Like, I think it's really, really interesting, and everything that I kind of believe and have believed about like the industry is reflected in that video pretty much. And she brought up new points that I hadn't even thought of before, and I was like, oh my gosh, so true. But yeah, I think that I agree with like pretty much everything she says in that. But now I'm thinking, like, is this a right-wing stance to take? I don't feel like it is. I'm not trying to say this in a conservative way, but like, I don't know. But it's also this sort of like this opinion that I know what a woman wants or what's best for a woman, right? I know that she doesn't really like isn't really fulfilled by that lifestyle. There's no way, sort of thing. When it's like, if she's claiming that and I'm not inside her brain, then she's free to do that, sort of thing. But again, I don't think that it's a good thing for society, for men to be consuming that, for anyone to be consuming that. I do not think that it is good for anyone to consume pornography at all. Like, I just think it doesn't do anything but destruction to your brain. Like, genuinely, especially if it's from a young age. Like, come on. If you consume that from a young age, I think that someone who consumes that from a young age is, their view of relationships and sex and all of that is destroyed. Or at least, maybe not completely destroyed. Maybe there's no hope, but it's definitely tainted and very hard to come back from. And I think you're going to need a lot of therapy from that, okay? I really don't think that and it's too accessible. It's too accessible, and it's impossible to make non-accessible. And I don't think that they would anyway, because they make money. off of that. They profit from little children consuming this media. Are you joking? And if you don't think that there are many little children consuming that, think again. Like, there are, okay? If there's little kids now on iPads more than there were back then, and I knew that they were people back when I was a kid consuming that, like a lot of people, then imagine what it's like now. Like, I'm sorry, it's so accessible now. Maybe there are more regulations that I'm not aware of now, but I don't genuinely think that there are, because I don't think that it's like, it's too easy for a child to access their parents' like access to the internet. You know what I mean? It's way too easy. Not every parent is gonna be like this on like your devices. And even if they are, kids are going to find a way. Kids are smart. Kids are, if a kid wants to find something, they will find it. And social media and the internet makes it easy for them to do that. Easy peasy. And without being found out about it. Because parents are ignorant. And it's not even just parents' fault, right? It's the nature of the internet. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. And I'm currently now being led to believe that that is just wrong, and that sex work is real work. And I am not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that it is these women's fault that they are, like, you know, participating in this industry, or that they're evil or anything like that. I don't think that the women themselves are evil. Like Cataclysm said, I think that it's a result of the industry, that they're victims of the industry. I'd see them as victims, I think, because, like, but if they themselves don't claim that they're victims, then maybe it's fine. You know what I mean? I'm in a little bit of a dilemma here, and an internal conflict. What was the other thing? Oh my god, do you remember? Okay, what another thing that this video brought up, the alt-right pipeline for women video brought up was it brought up this movie called Cuties. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it blew up ages ago and went under so much slander, because it basically, what I was under the impression of is that it exploits young girls in a sexual way, and it's really disgusting. And I never watched it because I was honestly just extremely disgusted by the things that I was hearing about it, and did not want to, like, subject my, like, scope to that, understandably so, I think. But apparently it's like a feminist movie, and that what they were saying is that it was only slandered because it was directed by a woman of color, and that it was nothing more than just, like, some girls, and they were just wearing dance uniforms, dance outfits kind of thing, and that there was nothing inherently sexual about it, but it was just framed that way by gross men and right-wing people who were trying to be like, young girl in dance costume, bad. Directed by women of color, bad, kind of thing. And I was like, what? Like, I was under the impression that this movie was really not good in any way, shape, or form, and was completely just, like, subjecting young girls to exploitation, basically. And so this is the first time I've ever heard anyone, like, combat that. And I'm like, was I wrong? But because I don't know, maybe I was just in that sphere, because this was around the time where I was just coming out of my, like, right-wing sort of era as, like, a 14-year-old little fascist that I was, to be honest. And so, oh my god, I am so sorry. Ugh, I just, like, anyways. Yeah, anyway, but I'm like, it was just when I was coming out of that, so maybe, like, my view of it was still, like, sort of warped by my beliefs that were kind of ingrained into my brain that I hadn't fully, like, massaged out yet, you know? So, I don't know, maybe I need to, like, do another deep dive into that through a different perspective, because maybe that movie wasn't, like, as disgusting as everyone led me to believe. So, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that there were, like, some really... But now I'm, like, questioning, I'm like, oh my god, so I really need to, like, look into my ethics, look into my core beliefs and stuff, and rethink about all of the opinions that I have about stuff to see if, like, you know, is it... Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so this is basically just me being like, all right, we all need to be very aware that these alt-right pipelines are everywhere, and this audience fishing, audience capturing, this is something that the right are experts in. They're professionals at capturing people into their audience, into their sphere, manospheres, you know, all of that stuff, into making women anti-feminist sort of thing, very misogynistic type shit. And I also need to rethink my beliefs on Bo Burnham, methinks, because I'm like under such like a I love Bo Burnham kind of thing. It's mostly just that I really like his music, to be honest, and Inside just was like a very comforting thing to me during like 2020 and the pandemic and stuff like that. And so I think like I have a little bit of a bias in that sense, that I don't really probably criticize his, you know, actions and words and all of that fairly like I should be. I probably am not as critical of Bo Burnham as I need to be, because I always look at White Woman's Instagram as like that song, you know, everyone's like, oh, this song just as anti-feminist, and he thinks it's okay and progressive because he put white in front of the women thing, but it's actually misogynistic. And I'm like, well, if you really listen to the lyrics of the song, it has nothing to do with the woman. It's to do with like the tendency to post everything on social media, including like a testimony to your mom who died 10 years ago kind of thing. But now that I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, no, it is framed as like it does make fun of like women and, you know, sharing stuff on social media, and it completely critiques that and doesn't like really see any value in that, and it's sort of like surface level, like looks at a white woman's Instagram kind of thing. It's very like millennial coded, latte foam art, tiny pumpkins, fuzzy comfy socks, a coffee table made out of driftwood, and then it says a couple things that I actually don't know what he's saying. Avocado, a simple glass of wine, etc. Like he's just listing things, and it's like, oh, is this actually? Because he has really good commentary on like the socio-political, economic state of the world. Can we talk about the social and political state of the world right now? I literally am Jaden Smith. It's literally me. But like he talks about, I think he has very good commentary on that. But often it misses the mark because it's like, well, you're framing it from a misogynistic viewpoint. So like it's like, oh, I'm being progressive, but also